çocuğum vardı. Allah ömür versin. 3 de evlendiler, yuvalarını kurdular. Ben de burada kendi halimde güzel bir dairemde yaşıyorum. Evet. Çiçeklerimle. Çiçeklerimi çok seviyorum. Onların bana verdiği mutluluğu bilmiyorum kim verebilir.
My grandma is like my best friend. I love her so much. She's so cool. She's so funny. Like, she's always making me laugh. But she doesn't show her funny, sarcastic side to everyone, though. And she's really good at keeping secrets. Like, she won't tell a soul if you tell her a secret.
It's a beautiful film. It was about the filmmaker was this young Turkish girl, and the film is about her relationship with her grandmother, and her mother's relationship with her plants and her flowers, which is a very spiritual, divine one. And it really caught the granddaughter's attention, so she decided to make a little 15-minute film out of this. 10-minute film. It was quite beautiful. It was, the grandmother's almost, not almost, but divine relationship, believing that her plants are conscious and that they have feelings, and that's how she kind of goes through the world. And the granddaughter's sort of final assessment that, her life is just as worthy as any overly productive or rich or status born or achieving or producing sort of person in the Western world or any world or in any kind of situation. So it was lovely. Well done. Congratulations.
It was a really sweet and touching short documentary, almost like a home video in terms of the moments and the interactions that it captured, but then it had that professional feel of a documentary with a speaker, and I think it was great the way that it came together. I really loved that we got to see the grandmother's story and her relationship with plants and God and her husband and family members, and I just thought that was such a beautiful story to share, and I thought it was really well done.
Let me tell you, this piece feels like just sitting down and having a conversation with someone for the first time and getting to know them. We really feel in these 10 minutes that we get to know this girl's grandmother. And we get to know her not just in this is where she lives and this is what she likes, but we really get to know her on this deep and profound level. My favorite part absolutely is her telling the story of her husband's death. And because while it is so sad, it's also quite beautiful in the relationship that he had with flowers and how his death kind of solidified her relationship with flowers and the connection that she makes with them to God. I mean, just absolutely beautiful to listen to. Such rich stories and so much experience and wisdom behind them. And it just brings you a sense of warmth inside to see such tenderness between a grandmother and a granddaughter.
I loved this piece for its very stunning and intimate portrait of a beloved grandmother. You could feel that love and that relationship. It was so palpable throughout the piece, that personal connection. And I thought that her life, in parallel to her deep connection to her plants, seemed to unfurl so organically in the storytelling. The connection to consciousness, to the expression of God through these plants, and her really poetic and rather profound connection in one of the most poignant moments of her life with her husband passing, I thought was extremely touching. It had that quality where you almost got to meander through her day with her and live a day according to her ideals and of care and of gratitude and sustaining life. And I thought that was beautiful. I wanted to share it with my grandmother because she also talks to her plants, and I believe she reads the Bible to them too. So it was a really nice connection.
I really loved it. I think that it's very touching and super intimate, and I think that the filmmakers just have a great, obviously like a very great rapport, and I think it felt like a very mature piece, done on like a small budget, and I think that it has like a very powerful message. In the sense that it's very simple and straightforward. Like I really love this like kind of slice of life.
This was like a very like human, personal story. Like it allowed me to connect with this woman, with this narrator and her grandmother and their story and her story, in like a deeply like personal way. And it started thinking about like my grandmother and like all of that stuff, and also the emotional, when she's telling the story and she starts to tear up, and the narrator starts to tear up, I start to like get emotional. You know what I'm saying? So it was very effective on that front. Partially because it was so personal and down to earth and like real life. It wasn't like about like, a bigger, it wasn't necessarily about like a bigger societal thing. It was like a case study almost, until the end where it's like, this when you tied it back to capitalism to a larger point. And I think that was very effective, because it's like, here's this personal story that you connect with, and you tie it to the bigger story about like what it means to have like a meaningful life, like what that can look like, outside of just American capitalism, you know what I'm saying? And I thought that was really powerful. So overall, really well done.
A beautiful film. I think that the idea of wanting to preserve the memories and the lessons of an older family member from another generation is something that we can all relate to. I think that the film also focuses on the idea of keeping someone else's memory alive who has passed, through cultivating a practice. In this case, that's plants and gardening. And I think that that is also something that we all seek to do when we have lost someone. I was struck by how in the film, the grandmother was speaking about her own experience and her relationship to her plants. But throughout the film, I really sensed her granddaughter's presence, even when she was behind the camera. And I really felt that this was a conversation that her grandmother was having with her, as opposed to an internal dialogue.
Really was that. It was about meditating with flowers and finding this spiritual healing through plants and through life, and finding peace within that unity and that harmony. I think it was really interesting to look at plants through this spiritual lens, but also seeing the relationship between the filmmaker and her grandmother and plants, and seeing how that impacted her and her journey, her spiritual journey to finding peace and serenity. And I think there's a lot to be learned spirituality wise from this piece. It was lovely, and it really shows, how those who came before us can often have a better understanding of the world and of spirituality, and finding peace and passing that on to us. So it was a really, really lovely piece, and I really enjoyed watching it.